Okay, so today is 17th of July 2015, Friday, the last day of the week. Today has been a quiet day. There were some numbers that came out for CPI, for USD and Canadian. But the news that caught attention was the housing starts for USD. It was more than the forecasted and more than the previous month. So what we need to keep in mind with these numbers is these numbers will be looked at by the Fed when they justify why they will be hiking the rate in September or why they hike the rate in September when they do. Because the numbers they're looking at is to see if the US economy is alright, is on a stable footing, is out of the recession, and hence they can justify the rate hike. And similarly, if you look at the CPI number, it's the same as the forecasted of 0.3%. So hence today there was not much movement with the USD pairs. Canadian CPI came out, but this didn't make much of a difference. It has been weakened by the rate decrease last week. And so hence today has been a quiet day in the currency market as far as the major and the minor currency pairs of the developed economies are concerned. Next Monday looks quiet as well. One thing to note from next week is there is a decision for official cash rate for NZD. So they might reduce this because the Kiwi economy seems to be going down. I saw a news somewhere saying the dairy products demands are reducing and NZD economy seems to be around the dairy products due to decline in consumption from China. So the Kiwi economy is going down and hence they may reduce the cash rate and hence will lead to NZD being depreciated against the dollar. And now let's take a look at the charts. Beginning with euro dollar, it didn't move much, but it seems to be clearly on a downtrend in the daily chart, but there is a support around the 1.08 mark, but once it takes out this low, I think it will fall down further. The crisis in euro with the Greece and stuff seems to be stabilizing now, not much of a concern. Draghi is behind Greece. He wants Greece to be in euro, so that's good news for euro. So what may cause this pair to move down is the differences in the policy of the central banks of the two economies. So euro is in QE and the Fed is looking to raise rates, so this pair will probably fall down. In the weekly, we saw this week was a big fall from 20 EMA, so it may fall down further. Monthly, it has broken through the low from last month, so there's a potential for this to fall down further. Now let's take a look at pound dollar. Pound dollar has been stagnating around the 25 and 200 and all these moving averages for the last few days. And the potential movement for this is very hard to say because on one hand there's a potential for UK rate rise, but this is true for USD as well. So there's a tug of war between pound and dollar. In the weekly, as we discussed in the last couple of days, there's a potential for this to move up and touch the 200 EMA. But I saw a news today on CNBC saying that if you think the pound is going to go higher, think again. I'm not sure on what basis he's basing this statement on, but maybe we should be keeping in mind of these statements. Okay, dollar yen, it seems to be losing its upward momentum. In the weekly, it seems to have bounced off from 20 EMA. In the monthly, it's on a very steep uptrend. In dollar Canadian, surprisingly, so it's still moving up. It touched the 1.30 mark, which was back in 2008 October. It went on till up to the beginning of 2009. Now this is I think a critical point. So from there it will test this, and then it may fall down for a bit, but once it breaks through this resistance sorry, there's a potential for this to move up even more. But we should bear in mind this very steep uptrend, so when it falls down there may be a steep fall as well. Aussie dollar didn't move much today. It's in the consolidation region, and unless not things happen on the let's look at the monthly one. It has broken through the previous support, so I think there's still room for Aussie dollar to fall down, but this is not a very volatile currency pair, I must say, from my observation. And Kiwi dollar, after falling down quite a lot in the last 2 days, it seems to be stabilizing here. Now next week, with the cash rate decision coming out, there may be some movement, but I think it will be most likely on the downside. This week there's a massive fall, and this month is falling down as well completely. Euro yen, there was a slight fall because of the drop in euro. I think this will probably at least try to touch the low reached in the beginning of this month. And in the weekly, if we see, I think it will try to touch the 200 EMA mark of 130 yen for a euro. The monthly, it's stagnating around the 5 and 20 EMA. Pound yen seems to have stopped its uptrend, so this may be with pound stabilizing and dollar yen not moving up much as well, so there may be some correction due. I think it will at least try to fall down to around 20 EMA mark, or on the other hand it may fall down completely. If pound dollar falls down, this may fall down steeply as well. This is a very steep trend. Is if you see, pound yen has been appreciating since 2012. So 3 years, 12, 13, 14, 15, 3.5 years. It's a very long trend, long uptrend. And Euro Canadian, I think, was stabilizing around this mark, so this seems to be acting as a ceiling. If euro falls down, corresponding to how euro dollar falls down, I think this may fall down, but again Canadian is weakening, so I think one of them has to win out in this arms race or tug of war. Pound Canadian moved up today. This seems to be mirroring the movement in dollar Canadian pair. So as long as dollar Canadian move up, I think this pair will move up too, because pound as such is stagnant against dollar. Euro was around the 20 mark, so euro would be falling down against dollar, so there's a potential for this currency pair to fall down. But on the other hand, if Aussie weakens, then this pair could again bounce up from here or from here. So this is a very tricky situation right now. In the weekly, it seems to be on an uptrend, but it's not a very strong uptrend, yes, I must say. Pound Aussie, Pound Aussie is moving up. It's a very slow kind of, not a very fast moving uptrend, but it seems to be on a slow and steady uptrend. Unless this moves around and at least cross beyond 20 EMA on the downside, I think it's good to be long on this pair. I think that's it. As far as the indices are concerned and commodities, there didn't seem to be any movement noteworthy or commenting more. So we'll leave it here for today and we'll come back on Monday